Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today I finally got a chance to take a look at a ship that received a buff here recently. It was one of the ships that was included in that giant list of buffs that were getting put out a little while ago that went into effect, I believe, this patch. Now, many of those ships did need them buffs, and most of them got buffs that were definitely needed and things that the community had been asking for forever in the case of some of those ships. But our subject today, while she did get a buff, it wasn't necessarily the buff that a lot of us were looking for. And the ship we're talking about today is the Tier 5 Premium American Battleship, the Texas. Now, the Texas has an interesting story in World of Warships, because she was released way back in the day, an update, what was it, 5.6, 5.5? So we're talking about, we're in 14.3 now, about to be 14.4. That was 9 years ago now, way back in the day, yeah. So she's an old ship, but back when she was released, her whole gimmick, her whole identity was the fact that this is a Tier 5 battleship equipped with Tier 8 AA. Meaning that any flying object, be it a fighter, be it a torpedo bomber, be it a dive bomber, be it a seagull, that got within her AA range was absolutely shredded. Because it's Tier 8 AA, and in the matchmaking bracket of Texas, Tier 7 to Tier 4 CVs, yeah, they ain't got Tier 8 planes, in the most part, looking at you, Saipan. But anyway, so yeah, it was a no-fly zone. Anyone in your AA bubble was just perfectly safe from CVs, and it was a beautiful thing. Now, the Texas did have some other things that were different between her and her sister, the New York. The Texas and the New York were the only two ships of the New York class. Texas herself is still preserved, which is very cool, and another reason why I think she should be an excellent ship in game. She's currently in the middle of getting much needed, well, she's actually back in the water, but we'll still call it a dry dock done. She's getting renovated, and a lot of much needed work was done to her so far. I believe they're in the middle of, they just got the decks done. I believe they're working on the superstructure and the secondary and AA gun mounts right now. And hopefully, I believe she's supposed to be back up soon by the end of this year, but we'll see about that. But anyway, the in-game Texas. So, the in-game Texas, the difference between herself and the New York is that her third turret has some better firing angles than her sister, and she has a shorter main battery gun range. With the module, you can get the New York's guns out to, I believe, 19 kilometers and change. The Texas, with the module, only 18.1 kilometers. So shorter gun range, better firing angles on her number 3 turret, and a much longer reload time. The New York has a 30-second reload. The Texas has a 34-second reload, which is among the slowest reloads at Tier 5 for battleships. The only one that has a longer reload than that is the Agincourt, because she has 14 guns with a 36-second reload. Texas has 10 guns, 10 14-inch guns, so fairly large guns for Tier 5. But that was the thing. Great AA, shorter main battery gun range, longer reload. Pretty fair trade-off for, again, having Tier 8 AA at Tier 5. And that's how the Texas existed and thrived throughout its existence. Until we got to, well, more recent patches, where Wargaming decided that they were going to go ahead and standardize AA across the board. I say more recent patches, but this is patch 8.0 with the CV rework, where CV's got a big overhaul, and they decided they were going to standardize everything across the board when it came to AA range, which meant that the Texas now shares the same range as her sister, the New York, a measly 3.5 kilometers. Which, if you've ever taken a look at the game scale, is a little to nothing. Now, within those 3.5 kilometers, the Texas's AA is still absolutely insane, But the problem is most planes don't really spend too much time within that 3.5 kilometer AA range, especially when you look at ships like Soviet CVs, where they dump all their ordnance from long range. They're barely within that range at all, so there's not a whole lot of time to shoot planes down. So planes literally went from not being able to fly anywhere near the Texas's sphere of influence. Now they can fly in, drop the ordnance on the Texas, maybe lose a plane or two, but then dip out shortly thereafter. It's a far cry from beforehand, where you would lose pretty much your entire squadron if you even thought about attacking the Texas. So that happened, and there were no changes made to the Texas at all. Nothing. She stayed in her exact same state for years. So now, instead of having this ship that was a no-fly zone, that was just a giant middle finger to CVs, that would just dissuade from CVs from even getting anywhere near you. Now they could still attack you, maybe lose a plane or two, but not a big deal. Because remember, when the Texas could shred planes, we didn't have infinite planes. We didn't have the regeneration timer in planes. So these planes that CVs were losing to Texas, they weren't coming back. But now that planes are infinite, the Texas's AA gets a nerf. So, yeah. But now, look at it. It's like, okay, you have a New York with a longer main battery gun range with a shorter reload time, or you have the Texas with a shorter main battery gun range, a much longer reload time, and slightly better angles for turret number 3. Oh, and a faster turret traverse. The New York has like a 51-second turret traverse. The Texas has like a 41-second turret traverse speed. So when you look at the two ships, it's like, well, why would I ever want to play a Texas over the New York? Considering that the AA, yeah, sure, it might be a little bit better now, but like most CVs don't stay inside your AA long enough for you to really, stick it to them. And the New York has a 4.3 second longer reload on the exact same 10, 14-inch guns. It's like, well, no duh, I'm going to take the New York over the Texas. That was the Texas dilemma for, well, ever, and still kind of is today. But what happened here in the most recent update when she got her new buff? Well, her new buff was in the form of a new consumable. They gave the Texas DFAA. Because what myself and many others have said is that, well, the planes fly in Texas AA range, and sure, for the brief moment they're inside her AA range, yeah, they take a lot of damage, but not really in that AA bubble long enough to really, get shredded like they used to. So now with DFAA, you get that 300% buff to the damage that your AA does. Sure, when these planes are within her AA bubble now, and you have DFAA going, it does most certainly shred planes a lot better than before. And well, naturally, when I took her into random battles trying to get some footage for you guys to see of her going up against carriers, not a single carrier game in sight. So into the training room, put 3 tier 6 CVs on the other side, put the bot's brain level to lobotomized, and went into battle against them. And I'll play some footage of that here. And as you can see, against tier 6 CVs, yeah, the Texas does, when they're within her AA range and you have DFAA going, does a pretty good job of shooting down planes now. But that's only when you have DFAA going. And that also wasn't really the main complaint anymore about the Texas. Well, it was one of the complaints, that her AA doesn't really feel like it does what it used to do, sure. But the follow-up complaint to that was, well, look, if you have nerfed the AA to this level, why haven't you adjusted the rest of the ship? Because she gave up a kilometer of range and 4.3 seconds of her reload time in order to get this AA. And sure, you can argue, well, she still has the great turret traverse, she still has the improved turret angle on turret 3. Yeah, that's true. But like, look, this ship, unless they unnerf the range and put it back to what it used to be, it's not going to be what it once was. The impact isn't even there anymore. Because remember, when the Texas shot down planes before this change, that was it. Those planes are gone. The planes she shoots down now, they regenerate. So like that battle impact isn't really there anymore. And again, with the nerfed range, you can't really cover not as much as you used to be able to with her old AA range, right? So it's like, even if you give her, well, they did give her, I'm not sure why I said even with this DFAA consumable, it's still not going to be the Texas that once was. So why in the world are we still paying for this old AA with the same, balancing going on with the main battery guns with a 34.3 second reload time? That is agonizingly slow, considering, again, you have the New York there with the same guns, the same shells, with a 4.3 second faster reload time. Much more comfortable to play in today's meta. And I'm not saying she has to go all the way back down to 30 to a 30-second reload, but like a 32-second reload, like a 32-second flat reload, or like a 31-second flat reload would be much better than a 34-second reload. Again, the Agincourt, which has 14 guns, has a 36-second reload. Only, a second, 1.7 seconds longer than the Texas, with 4 more guns than the... I'm sorry, yeah. I was actually right there with math, with 4 more guns than the Texas, and all of her secondaries, right? So it's just like, why are they so reluctant to give this ship a reload buff? Giving this ship a reload buff would make her so much more enjoyable and so much more comfortable in today's World of Warships. Considering this ship gets up-tiered, it's a Tier 5 ship, it's going to get up to Tier 7 quite a bit, so having that shorter reload of those 14-inch guns would be much, much more comfortable than giving the ship DFAA. Man, it's just frustrating to see the ship be in this state. And I'm not saying they have to make it this crazy ship, right? But just something to make it a little bit more comfortable to play with the current meta. Geez, the 34-second reload on 10 14-inch guns, the same 10 14-inch guns you get on the New York. It's just frustrating as hell. Trying to play this ship in today's World of Warships. And the guns, the guns are good, don't get me wrong, because the New York's guns are good. It's just the frustration is in the reload time. What's really funny too is that you can say, well, they're trying to make the Texas the kind of more mid-range ship, right? You're supposed to be in there with your team, providing them with AA covers, so that's why it has a shorter range and all that jazz. But if you look at how wargaming traditionally handles, a ship that's geared for long range and a ship that's geared for close range, traditionally the ship at longer range has, the longer range, the more accurate guns, and the longer reload time to compensate for that. But this is a case where the ship that's kind of made for longer range, the New York, has the longer range but the shorter reload, while the ship that you could say is kind of set up for, medium range, has the longer reload. It just doesn't make any sense. So I am disappointed with this buff. Sure, it's a nice step in the correct direction to kind of getting the Texas back to where she should be in terms of her power level, but a reload buff is what myself and many others are really looking for with the Texas. So, with them going in and reworking low tier, maybe we'll get that with some of the changes that they're bringing in to lower tier here in the future, so that could be something that might happen then. But, it's a nice gesture, but still, the ship's disappointing, and it does definitely need more, in my humble opinion. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about the Texas. Do you think this is a fine buff for her, and this is it? Or do you think she still needs a little bit more? And what do you think she needs? If not a reload buff, then what else do you think the ship could use? I think, a 2-second reload buff is more than enough, and I think the ship will be a whole hell of a lot more comfortable to play in today's World of Warships. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday and wonderful rest of your week, and hope to catch you guys in the next one.